One thing we don't want to follow the rest of the world on is a convention that is set to be ratified by the UN this month. Now, this has already been approved by a committee of the UN, put forward by Russia and China, and you'd think that would set alarm bells off, but the majority of the UN is supporting this convention on cybercrime. Now, you might go, OK, cybercrime sounds like something that we'd want to crack down on, but this comes at the same time as we brought you the story last night about Queensland heavily restricting free speech in their state. We, of course, have the misinformation, disinformation bill that has been introduced at a federal level here. Well, now the UN says that in the name of combating cybercrime, they basically want to give governments across the world unprecedented ability to share online information, online data with each other to combat what they call serious crime. But the threshold for deciding what a serious crime is that two governments agree that a crime is serious. So that could be anything. It could be that you are criticising the Prime Minister or the leader of a country. It could be that you are putting misinformation online. Who knows? Two governments simply have to agree that it is a serious crime, and then they'll have special abilities to gain data that they otherwise would not have. Now, this, as you can imagine, is a major threat to the free press, and in the United States, journalists are fighting tooth and nail against this. They've actually been taking out full-page ads in newspapers warning of what is going to come if this is passed. This is one of those full-page ads where they say protect journalists, reject a new global surveillance treaty. For more than 3 years, UN member states have been negotiating new global convention to combat cybercrime, introduced by Russia with the support of China, Iran and other authoritarian regimes. It has expanded to become a broad criminal instrument that gives authorities far-reaching surveillance and investigatory powers, both at home and abroad, with weak safeguards to prevent overreach and abuse. They warn that it could give spy capabilities to track down and punish journalists and give repressive regimes even more tools for targeting and muzzling the press, which is, of course, what any government would want when they believe that people are saying things that might be negative towards them, right? One expert who has done a deep dive into what this convention would be on data access says that, unfortunately, a data access treaty has been drawn up that will allow governments around the world to exchange citizens' personal information in perpetual secrecy in the event of any crime the two governments agree is serious, as I was talking about before. He says this would include eavesdropping on location and real-time communications around the world. It would force IT workers to divulge passwords or other access keys that would compromise the security of global systems that billions of people rely on every day. And it's not just private sector systems. Government systems are also at risk, and we know exactly how much data government collects on us. This could potentially open up the possibility for foreign governments to gain access to your data from governments on the other side of the world. Nick Ashton-Hart is his name. He also goes on to point out other ridiculous parts of this convention. He says, incredibly, the text expressly allows governments to prosecute children for sexting in the same article that is supposed to protect them from sexual predators. The article also puts people working in charities who help bring predators to justice at risk of prosecution because they need access to material created by predators as part of their work. Civil society advocates have repeatedly pointed out this obvious deficiency, but to no avail. This is set to be ratified by the UN this month. This is not just a problem in Australia with misinformation, disinformation. This is a global push right now that has gone right to the top at the UN. An idea pushed by the most authoritarian regimes in the world, Russia, China, Iran, and the United Nations is set to go ahead with it. It is absolutely outrageous.